How ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists, but they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years.
She always knew how to control the room. With just a glance, a smirk, a raised eyebrow, Whoopi Goldberg could silence co-hosts, bend conversations, and spin narratives. But not today. Today, the room belonged to someone else. The cameras weren't there to flatter her. They weren't aimed to catch her wit or wardrobe. They were locked in, tight and unflinching on a woman unraveling. Live and unscripted. This wasn't The View. This was The Reckoning. In the sterile chill of a packed courtroom, under the unforgiving glare of fluorescent lights and sharpened stares, Whoopi Goldberg was no longer the monarch of midday television. She was the defendant in a legal storm of her own making. And across from her sat the quiet, steady force of that storm, Caroline Leavitt. What began as a few snide remarks during a broadcast now threatened to dismantle decades of fame, credibility, and corporate protection. An $800 million lawsuit, not just against Whoopi, but the entire machine behind her. ABC, The View, The Legacy. It started small, a smirk, a jab, a dig wrapped in daytime humor. The usual. Caroline had stepped onto that set like a guest, but she was treated like a target. First, it was Joy Behar, mocking her youth. Then Sunny Hostin, slipping in a poison-laced comment about privilege. And finally, Whoopi, the queen herself, landed the strike. You didn't earn this. You're just a product of right-wing pity politics. Laughter, applause, and then silence. Caroline didn't clap back. She didn't flinch. She took notes. And then she took action. No tweet storm, no podcast tirade, just a courtroom filing so massive it silenced even the loudest voices in media. $800 million. For defamation, for coordination, for reputational destruction disguised as panel banter, for the truth. And now, here we are. The courtroom is full. The pressure, palpable. And Whoopi, she's blinking too fast, shoulders hunched, fingers twitching against the wood grain of her desk. One moment she ruled The View like royalty. The next, she's gasping for composure, because this isn't television anymore. This is war. Caroline's team wasted no time. They opened with fire. Documents, time-stamped emails, producer Slack messages, internal instructions to needle her on age, have Whoopi go hard, and make it trend. The judge's jaw tensed. The gallery gasped. And Whoopi, she went pale. Her lawyer tried to calm her, a hand on her arm. She pulled away, eyes wide, searching for a way out, but there wasn't one. Another document hit the screen. A memo. Keep the camera tight when Caroline reacts. That's our viral clip. The courtroom froze. This wasn't banter. It was sabotage dressed in lipstick. And daytime lighting. Suddenly, The View wasn't a panel show. It was evidence. The producers weren't showrunners. They were co-conspirators. And Whoopi Goldberg wasn't the host. She was the weapon. Every digital footprint confirmed by forensic experts. Every file verified. This wasn't a theory. It was a paper trail so damning the judge removed his glasses, looked squarely at ABC's counsel, and asked, "Did your producers coach this ambush?" Silence. Binders flipped. Eyes darted. But no one answered. Because the truth was laid bare. Whoopi sat frozen, jaw clenched, knuckles white. The woman who once wielded punchlines like daggers now sat defenseless, pierced by the very show she commanded. And Caroline? She hadn't even spoken. She didn't need to. She'd already brought the receipts. It wasn't just the courtroom walls that were crumbling. It was the very foundation of trust, reputation, and control that Whoopi Goldberg had built over decades. And now, it was cracking, piece by piece, under the weight of her own words. The lights in the courtroom seemed to burn hotter. The murmurs of journalists scribbling notes grew louder. Even the air felt thicker, heavier with consequence. Then it happened. The evidence kept coming. Slack messages from producers. Mention Trump. See if she bites. Plan B, have Sunny lean in with race. Let Whoopi lead. She's got credibility. The audience will eat it up. One internal draft of the segment script included a chilling line in bold. Attack with intellect, dismiss with humor, flip the crowd. This wasn't debate. This wasn't conversation. This was execution by script. And now, the truth was exposed. Under oath, under lights, under the weight of the public eye. Even the judge couldn't hide his reaction. He leaned forward again, eyes narrowed in disbelief. Across the aisle, Whoopi's legal team looked like they'd aged a decade in minutes. And Whoopi, she wasn't acting anymore. This wasn't a role. This wasn't a monologue. This was real. Her hands, once animated with sharp commentary, now trembled over a single sheet of paper. Her mouth was tight, her gaze distant. Every inch of her body language screamed one thing. I didn't know it would go this far. A tear formed. Just one. It slid down her cheek, glistening in the light like a silent confession. She wiped it away quickly, hoping no one saw, but everyone did. Journalists shifted in their seats. One tapped "Whoopi crying" into a live blog. Another began typing the headline, "Breaking, Goldberg breaks down in court." The judge called for a 10-minute recess. Attorneys stood, reporters filed out. But Whoopi? She didn't move. She stayed seated, shoulders low, eyes hollow. A bailiff approached, quietly asked if she needed anything. "I didn't know they saved all of that," she whispered. Her voice cracked, raw and defeated. Across the courtroom, Caroline Leavitt sat still, calm, not smug, not gloating, just steady. She watched Whoopi with the same composed expression she wore the moment this case began, like she saw this coming, like she planned for it. Her team didn't gloat. No fist, bumps, no smiles, just quiet readiness, because they weren't done. This was only the beginning. When the court resumed, the tone had changed. The courtroom wasn't just tense, it was electric. Whoopi returned to her seat, but not as the titan of television she once was. She was now a cautionary tale, a woman collapsing under the weight of her own commentary. And Caroline? She finally leaned to her lawyer and spoke 2 words. "Let's continue," because the show wasn't over. It was just getting started. Behind the glossy mugs, colorful coffee tables, and cheerful intros of The View, chaos had erupted. Not on camera, not in the audience, but deep inside the offices of ABC. The fallout was radioactive. Emergency Zoom calls now opened before sunrise. Top brass dialed in with bleary eyes and clenched jaws, trying to map out contingencies for a disaster they once arrogantly believed would never reach them. But it had. Full force. And the target wasn't just Whoopi Goldberg, it was the very institution built around her. Caroline Leavitt's lawsuit had triggered a chain reaction few saw coming. What was once dismissed as an empty legal threat had transformed into a corporate reckoning, with depositions, subpoenas, and discovery deadlines closing in like vultures. Insiders whispered the unthinkable. This could end The View as we know it. ABC's legal department had gone into overdrive. Staffers were combing through 18 months of footage, emails, segment notes, and Slack messages. Anything that might mitigate the damage. And those sponsors, they didn't wait around. Luxury skincare brand, gone. A high-end auto advertiser paused all placements indefinitely. A travel agency withdrew their entire Q3 campaign. No brand wants to get caught between daytime TV and a defamation firestorm backed by $800 million and a courtroom full of receipts. Inside The View's production wing, morale was disintegrating. And Whoopi, she wasn't talking to anyone, because she knew they were looking for the exit strategy. One insider put it bluntly, "We're past damage control. We're in career triage." There's a reason executives use phrases like transition, strategy, and brand preservation. They sound cleaner than what they really mean. They mean exile, a medical hiatus, a pre-recorded farewell, a graceful handoff to a new era of The View. But no matter how carefully they spun it, the message was clear. The queen of daytime. TV was being dethroned, and Caroline Leavitt? She hadn't said a single word to the press. No podiums, no interviews, no tweets, just quiet resolve and a binder full of truth. And suddenly, truth was trending. Now it's your turn. Do you think Whoopi Goldberg should be held accountable for what happened on The View? Was Caroline Leavitt right to take a stand? Or did she go too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Every opinion, every perspective matters. Smash that like button if you believe truth should never be silenced, no matter how famous the speaker is. Subscribe for more fearless, uncensored commentary that cuts through the noise and exposes what others won't. Share this video with someone who still thinks daytime TV is harmless entertainment, because what just happened wasn't harmless. It was a wake-up call. Remember, receipts don't lie. And this time, they were televised.